Hey students, I'm sorry that I couldn't get this video up earlier, so I'm now going to redo it and put it on YouTube, and you should be able to get it. But just a review of what we did today, working with powers of 10. 10 to the fourth power, of course, is 10 times 10 times 10. And 10 to the fourth power, the exponent tells us how many zeros we're going to have. So as we did in class today, we know we're going to have 4 zeros. So that gives us 10,000, not 40,000, not 40. All right, moving on to our next slide. Okay, and we did this in class today, but just to review, we know that 10 to the 0 power is 1. We know then, of course, the tens place is 10 to the first power. The hundreds place would be 10 to the second power, or 10 squared, because 10 times 10 is 100. 10 cubed, or 10 to the third power, 10 times 10 is 100, times 10 is 1,000. So 10,000 is 10 to the fourth, 100,000, 10 to the fifth, and millions, 10 to the sixth, because it would have 6 zeros. Then we talked about the fact that whenever we have negative exponents, that's telling us that we are dealing with a decimal or a fraction. And we talked about that we were dealing with numbers that are between 0 and 1. So the tenths place is simply 1 over 10, or 1/10. Because when we rewrite 10 to the negative first power, we take the reciprocal. Therefore, we have 1 over 10 to the first. So the hundredths place is 1 over 10 to the second, or 10 squared. The thousandths is 1 over 10 to the third, and then the 10,000ths is 1 over 10 to the fourth power. Moving on. Okay, we went over this today in class, but just to review, whenever you see that negative exponent, that lets you know you are going to have a decimal or a fraction. So the fraction for 10 to the negative first, we write the reciprocal, and we get 10 to the first, 1 over 10 to the first. So 1 over 10, the fraction is simply 10. So 1, or 1/10. So 1/10, the decimal, is written as 0.1. 10 to the negative 2 power, again, we take the reciprocal, so it's 1 over 2 to the second. 10 to the second. 10 to the second is 10 times 10, which is also 100, so that gives us 1/100th, and that is written in decimal form as 0.01. 10 to the negative third is the same as 1 over 10 to the third, or cubed, and 10 cubed gives us 1,000, and so that fraction is 1,000th, and 1,000th as a decimal is written here, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. 10 to the negative fourth is written as a fraction of 10 to the fourth. 10 to the fourth, we know, has 4 zeros, so that gives us 10,000. Since this is a negative exponent, we have a fraction, 1/10,000th, and written in decimal form we have here. And there we checked. All right, moving on to a few more. Here we have 1,000,000. So we know that the base is 10. Okay, and we count the zeros, we have 6. Okay, so that gives us 10 to the 6. All right, here we have 10 4 times. So again, we have 10 is our base, and our power, since we have 4 tens, becomes 10 to the fourth. Here, little different, because we have that negative exponent. We know we're going to have a negative exponent, so we have the tenths, the hundredths, the thousandths, the 10,000ths. Okay, so our exponent for 10,000th, we know is 4, because it is a decimal, it's going to be a negative 4. So it's going to be 10 to the negative fourth power. Here we have tenths, hundredths. So we're going to have 10 to the negative 2 power, because we know that 10 to the second power, there we go, is 100, and since we're dealing with the decimal in the hundreds place, we have to use the negative exponent. Alright, so moving on here, we're going to put these numbers in standard form. So here we have 10 multiplied by itself 5 times, so we end up with 5 zeros, 100,000. Here we have 10 to the fourth power, so we're going to have 4 zeros. So yes, you guessed it, it's already 10,000. Now here we have 1 over 10 to the second power, or 10 squared. So we know it's going to be a decimal. 10 squared is 100. So our answer is going to be written as a decimal, 100. Here, 10 to the 0 power, we know as we come down, as we followed the pattern that we did on the table before, if we're dividing 10 by 10, we end up with 1. So our answer here, 10 to the 0 power, or any number to the 0 power, is 1. Alright, moving on, we're going to write these numbers in expanded form. So 10 to the third power, we're just going to multiply 10 times 10 times 10. 10 to the first power, easy enough, 10. But now look, here's that negative exponent, so we know, ding, 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 it means decimal fraction. So that's going to mean 1 over 3 tenths. 10 to the negative first power, again, 1 over 10, because it's just 1 10 there. All right, continuing on, here we see that we have expanded form. And when we looked at this chart earlier today in class, we know that 10 to the 0 power is the ones place. This number is read 6 and 721 thousandths. So when we multiply 6 times 10 to the 0 power, it's just like multiplying 6 times 1. 7 times 10 to the negative first power is like multiplying that 7 times 1/10, which gives us 7 tenths, and then so forth and so on. All right, so let's move on to the next slide. Here we have 85 and 293 thousandths. So here we would take our 8. We're going to multiply it by 10 to the first because the 8 is in the tens place. Our 5, I bet you've already guessed it, we will multiply it by 10 to the 0 power. Moving on, we're going to take the 2 and we're going to multiply it by 10 to the negative first, 9 to the negative 2 power, and 3 times 10 to the negative third power, or cubed, you might say. All right, so here is the worksheet that you were completing for homework. So I'm going to, since you're watching this video, I am going to go ahead and show you the answers here. And I want you to read through carefully, and you don't need to change what you put, what patterns you put, but this is just what I came up with. With the non-negative power of 10, the exponent tells you how many zeros to add behind the 1. So 10 to the 6th would be 1,000,000. 10 to the 9th would be 1,000,000,000, and so forth. All right, then at the bottom you worked with the negative exponents. This might have caused you a little more trouble. So look at my answer key here. You can pause the video and check your answers. What patterns do you see? Well, with patterns of 10 showing negative exponents, the pattern shows an added place value, making the number smaller. So here we're moving places, not necessarily adding zeros, but we're moving the decimal. So we're moving places. So tomorrow when you come to class, we are going to have an interactive achievement test, and then this is going to be a homework worksheet that you'll be doing. But hopefully after viewing this video, it's going to help you. All right, have a wonderful evening. Don't stay up too late. Mrs. Jordan looks forward to seeing you tomorrow.